You're listening to Sweet Bites with Sandra with your host, Sandra Colton Medici. Tune in every Thursday to satisfy your entrepreneurial sweet tooth. Follow on Instagram at Sweet Bites with Sandra Podcast and Sandra Colton Medici. You can also join our Facebook group at facebook.com/groups/Sweet Bites with Sandra. Hi, I'm Sandra, and I'd like to invite you to subscribe and listen to my new podcast, Sweet Bites with Sandra. Satisfy your entrepreneurial sweet tooth in each episode, full of digital business tips, inspiring interviews, asides from my entertainment career, and rewards to celebrate your sweet success. Find Sweet Bites with Sandra on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Welcome back to Sweet Bites with Sandra. I am so excited to be joined by my good friend and another Sandra in my life. Her name is Sandra McCoy. And I am so excited to see you because I haven't seen you in so long.
I know.
Okay, so let me tell you some of her credits because you have to know where she's been and where she's coming from and what she's doing now. So she has been on everything from Hidden Hills to CSI Miami to Sabrina the Teenage Witch. She was on Power Rangers, The Hot Chick. Oh my gosh, Horror High, back to Deep in the Valley, Pimpin' Pee-wee, which, oh my gosh, Femme Fatales. And, you know, she has guest starred and co-starred and done so many things as an actress, but she is also an accomplished dancer, which is where I met her on the Laker Girls. So we were both two Sandras, but I went by Sandy, she went by Sandra. And now she is doing something that I think is genius. You have how many kids?
Three. Ages 5 and under.
Oh my goodness. Okay, so you are in the thick of it, just like I am. And they're boys, all three boys?
No, the last is a girl, the 2-year-old girl.
Oh, okay, so you have both sides of the spectrum here. So I have to ask you, let's just talk about transitioning. So you transitioned from pro dancer to actor pretty seamlessly, it seemed like to me. Is that not the way it went down?
Seems that way to you. You know what? Actually, it was my dance agent who sent me on my first acting audition. I think it was for General Hospital, and I'd never acted in my life. They just said, say these words, and I booked that one. So I guess that was seamless because it allowed me to get a theatrical agent. But the rest of it was not so seamless. Then I had to learn to actually act, which I'm not sure I totally ever did. But you know.
Well, so we're all constantly learning, right? Well, so Power Rangers, I just want to touch on this because my husband and I were just talking about Power Rangers, and I said, I think I know one. Because he's from France, so you know, I kind of, you know, pull that card every once in a while. I'm like, I know people. So how was that experience? And we'll talk about a few other ones, but I want to get to what you're doing now pretty quick and dirty. But so talk about Power Rangers for just a second. How did that come about?
That actually was one of my my first jobs, also my first auditions after General Hospital, and I actually didn't get the actual Power Ranger role. It was between me and another girl, and the other girl got it, but they had me be a girlfriend, a recurring girlfriend for one of the other Power Rangers, which was fun, which was so much fun. It was a fun way to learn. They actually had acting coaches on set, so I got to learn while doing it and while being paid for it, which at that time I really needed because I just moved to LA and mortgage was a thing. So so it was just a nice way to learn while working, but it was fun. It's definitely there was a different technique to that sort of acting for kids shows. I think that I did grow out of later on, but it was still it's so much fun to just be and play and on a set.
Well, we were talking. Do you miss it? Well, I miss seeing some of the things that I know stood out for me as far as, you know, maybe they were just iconic for someone who knew you, to see you on stage with people like NSYNC. I think it was the MTV Music Awards. Is it the? Yes. And you were. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go.
No, I was gonna say. So the title, when you got the contract, because I know in my career, I did something for Mad TV, and I was Hoochie Mama #1. So. Because there was somebody else and she was Hoochie Mama #2 on the contract.
Yes.
So did it
you
say,
were #1.
I was the #1. So for you, it was a secretary that you played on stage, but wasn't it called something else?
Yeah, the role was sexetary, the sexetary, which is not uncommon, to get. But I had done a music video for them, and they asked me to come on, and I didn't know what I was doing when I flew to New York, got there. Not complaining, very, very fun job. But I think there have been even crazy. I think I was like Nurse Jellyfinger #1 at one point, or just something, and it's all very, it is exactly what you think it would be. But
Well, so you actually, you were performing on stage, and you got the infamous smack on the booty by Justin Timberlake. So that goes down in infamy for me. That's like a highlight, an iconic Sandra McCoy moment. In addition to all of your other amazing acting scenes, this one stands out to me because I feel like you have to be in a good headspace to just be able to participate. So in the era of Me Too, probably not so much.
Yeah. I don't think those roles would exist anymore. And even if they did, it used to be light and fun. It felt light and fun at the time. It's not anymore. And it's also not that I have a daughter. Now that I have a daughter, it's also it all feels, there are things, I'm going to have to explain later on when she's old enough to do certain things. I've got some explaining to do. But anyway, it was fun. It was lighthearted. I was there to do the choreography, really. And then at the end of that, at the very, very end of that, in the song, they say, "We must be kings of pop." And the very background, they didn't tell us this was going to happen. All of us and the rest of the dancers were standing on stage, and Michael Jackson comes out and starts dancing. And none of us knew that was going to happen. And that was incredible. That was, we stopped dancing. We forgot that we were on stage, and we all turned and looked at him. And just even when you think you're the performer, something else can can rock your world. That's what I remember most about that performance.
Yeah.
It's not what my friends remember about that performance.
Okay. Well, moving forward, you actually were talking about, you're going to have to explain some things, but this is something that I just saw recently, and that's the Play at Home Mom Co. And that's something that you're like the brainchild of ideas upon ideas. And during the pandemic, you just decided, hey, I'll just start a new business, right?
More out of necessity than anything else. I'm still just really excited to have the opportunity to do it, just because now that the other industry, it's opening up now, but it had been shut down for a while. And I also just wasn't as much a part of it ever since I got pregnant with my first kid. I got pregnant, I was pregnant for pretty much 5 years straight. And so there was a lot that I couldn't do.
Yeah.
And so just even getting back into all of that was something that I had trouble doing. But then I actually had gone to school to get my master's in psychology. And that's where I started making sensory boxes to begin with, for different type of family dynamic, observation things for a lot of my students or for my kids or for clients that would come in when I was a trainee. And so I started doing that and seeing the value of what sensory boxes and sensory play could do just then. And then I ended up having my own children, one of whom has sensory issues himself. And then I was just an avid Etsy customer. I love Etsy. I love what it stands for. I love the artisanship that it allows people to do, and just the personal touches that you're allowed to receive, handwritten notes from people, handmade items. I just,
yes, some of the stuff that you see here is from Etsy. Like I have all of my kids, stickers that are on their wall with their name, like everything is like customized. I do the deep dive in the Etsy. So yes, I feel you.
I love it. I'm such a customer. I was such a fan beforehand. And I was purchasing things for my kids and always adding and adding and adding to them. And then there were certain themes that my kids were just obsessed with that I couldn't find. So I decided to start making them for them. And then when I realized people were going to be at home with their children, they were so helpful for me because, come March, all of my kids are home. I'm home. My husband's home. Everyone's home. And it's just so easy to just hand them a screen, which I'm fine. My kids, we've got screens. We use screens, but I needed something else to be able to give and do, and just have available to them when I needed to do the dishes or the laundry or,
or just have a moment.
Or have a moment. I still stand up while I eat. I don't know if you do, even when my kids aren't around, because I'm just so used to having to go, and so I ended up being able to figure out how to make my own Play-Doh, do all the things, that would be necessary to start sending these kits out, thinking, oh, I'll just do this on the side. I'm here. I'm home with my kids. My kids can help me. It'll be a fun
Mm-hmm.
project. It's definitely more. It's more than just a fun project right now. Now
Mm-hmm.
it's something I'm focusing on doing for my future. Like
Mm-hmm.
this now, my livelihood. I mean, other than my husband's husbandly sponsorship for life.
Right. Well, let me tell you, I saw this Instagram photo the other day of your kitchen, and it was like a sea of, I think, letters you're baking. And I was like, this is what I'm looking at is Shark Tank. This is what I'm looking at is one of those behind the scenes videos that you see on Shark Tank of someone who had this great idea. And I literally think in like, I don't know, 6 months, if you apply, you're going to be on Shark Tank and you're going to have a shark in your back pocket, and it's going to be in every major retail store. I guarantee you. Mark my
No,
words right now.
Sandra, you're so nice. You're so nice to say that. I just don't know. And most of my friends are in business and marketing. Actually, one of my very
Mhm.
best friends, she does everything for all of my social medias. I just don't have the brain for it. But even
Mm,
with that, like I have to say, even with doing the things, I love doing special orders for people and I love like the intimacy of it, that all of
yeah.
my friends who are in business, they keep talking about scaling and what my goals are. And
Yes.
I didn't even think that would be a question anybody would be asking me because this was just
Mhm.
supposed to be fun where I was going to be, selling something once a week and maybe it would help a child, but just the feedback, it, it's hard. One, being a stay-at-home mom
Mhm.
or being a working mom, but working while staying at home with your kids and being a mom, it's just a whole new thing. I mean, all of it's difficult and challenging, any sort of, any aspect of motherhood is, but
Mhm.
now my kids don't understand while I'm at home, but I'm also working and I'm doing
Mhm.
something that they want to play with and I can't let them. And it's
Right.
all very complicated, but I'm super grateful.
Mhm.
Um, for the feedback because it was so easy to just say like, okay, like this isn't working for my family, this isn't working for my kids, but the feedback
Mhm.
from other people, now that my kids have gotten used to it, they can live with a mom who's working at home or has to step away for a second. I used to be
Exactly.
one of those moms who never even had my phone. Like I couldn't return a text till after 8 because I wouldn't even look at my phone all day with my kids because I never wanted them to think that it was my phone was more important than they were. And
Right.
so now I actually have my own room in the house where I'm working. It's the no room. It's really difficult for them to process that I'm home, but I'm not home, and
Yeah.
I can only imagine so many moms are feeling the same way right now because now they're at home working where their kids,
Mm.
they don't understand why we can't play with them. And that part gets a little difficult. But the feedback from other moms who can sit and have some coffee or just see different things showing up for their children
Mhm.
in ways, I gave these as gifts to friends and they're like, my kids are going to throw this stuff everywhere. It's going to be such a mess. And I mean, I had to get rid of so many sandboxes and sand tables because my kids were sand throwers, but these just draw
Oh.
in. They actually
Mm.
draw them in. Which I was hoping for, but it's just a whole different experience, both like sensory wise and creatively
Well,
for my kids. Nice seeing them.
so you started with one box, and what was the box's theme?
I think my very first box was my space kit, which is still, and it's a sensory bin with and I did that because I couldn't find one that I loved and that my kids loved. And
Mhm.
so I ended up just making my own for my kids and wanting it to be available for other kids. And now it's my top seller and I love doing it. I love doing it. But it's
And
just my children are obsessed with the planets, the dwarf planets, all things space. And so I try to
right.
include everything. They were always so disappointed because this didn't look like this planet. And I get it because my kids, there was a time I was like, whew, they are focused and specific and picky. Now I love it because now I know who my audience is with these kids. I know that my
Exactly.
picky kids, if they can be satisfied by something, then other kids hopefully are satisfied, entertained, and inspired creatively by
Yeah.
what I'm able to put out there.
And then I was watching this in like real time on IG. So then you expanded to like a 4th of July box. Is that right?
Oh yeah. After yes, I did. I decided I expanded to a 4th of July one, and then I mean I went from space to well, it started off just not even Play-Doh kits. The 4th of July kit is actually a Play-Doh kit, and I didn't know that I could make Play-Doh. I actually am only using my kitchen for the first time now because I'm not a cook. and I'm not the best baker, but my kitchen now is just, I mean, I've got pots, pans, mixers for everything else that I'm making now for arts and crafts. But I mean, my kitchen is now being put to good use finally, but it hadn't been. But I went to the 4th of July one, which is now my my Go Vote box. I transferred it over and got the voting stickers that I really want kids to start to cherish early. And that's actually that's out right now.
Nice.
Go vote box.
Well, so I know that as a person who's been in entertainment, you become the product, right? And so now that you are kind of transitioned into this entrepreneurial spirit that has a physical product besides your own skill, right? You know, how do people do that? You know, for you, it might have been like second nature. I'm just going to make something and sell it. But for somebody who's never done that kind of thing before, like what was the first thing that you did? Did you write down your idea? Did you run it past some friends? Did you kind of get a box from Target and like throw things in it and say, like what did you do first?
I actually made boxes for one of my best friends who has a child on the autism spectrum. And I brought them physically over to her. And when I was walking to her house, her mom was like, oh no, I'm not going to be picking that up when the boys are throwing, their twin boys are throwing this around. And the next day, her mother, their grandmother, she called me and she was like, they are into it. Like they're into it. They're not throwing it around. They're not, but they were focused on the box, and which I knew because that's what they were initially made for, for children who had just different ways of processing, and so being able to focus their attention and energy and communicate in their own head with what's in front of them as opposed to another human being that they're not forced to eye contact with, or it was initially for that. So I gave that to them and it worked so well for them, and I thought if I could just keep creating this for everyone. I decided to see how it worked for my own kids because they're love them to death, but they don't sit well and they don't keep things in well. But there was just a need, and for me, I think doing something like this is really good for somebody who, like myself, in the entertainment industry, you're supposed to boast yourself, you are the brand, you are and I even had one of my best friends helping me because all of a sudden social media mattered so much and we needed to have followers, and me as Sandra McCoy, I felt like I don't have anything to say and I'm not interesting, but I believe
you are.
Oh, no, I'm not, and I just, I couldn't push myself. It didn't make any sense for me. I love watching other people and what they're doing and seeing what they're doing online. But if I didn't have anything to say, I didn't want to just make something up to put it out there to try to get followers, because I didn't. But now that I'm creating a product and something that I believe can actually help all children and parents or whatever caregiver is watching the children while they're at home, while they're, and in different situations too, but this is just the time where kids need several different things to do at home. For me, it just what's that the phrase, just everything coming together at a certain time, not for better or for worse, because who knows what all of this is right now at this point in time, but for my business it all worked timing wise, because it gave me another way to generate a livelihood while helping people, which is what I really wanted to do, which is why I was getting my marriage and family therapy license in the first place. And so it's the best of combining, I'd say, both worlds, like creativity, like creative aspect of just being an artist and a performer, but also being able to help introspectively, which is what I'm doing, and also stay at home with my kids.
Exactly. Because they're home.
But still, I still did want to be home with my kids, like the goal for, I think, a lot of my mom friends is, work, be productive, service your community, but also make your own hours so that you can be a parent at the same time. There's also ways to do it. And I feel like, grateful that for now I've been able to find a way to do it. But yeah, so if you could just find something that you believe in, because if you're like me and promoting yourself and pushing yourself is not, it's not natural for me, but creating a product that I love and I believe in, and then also being able to find an outlet like Etsy. Like I love Etsy because it allows me to also interact with the customers. I mean, some are practically clients at this point. I'll just make certain things for them. It allows me to be a lot more hands-on and a lot more personal, get a lot more personal with people. Like I'd like to. Yeah, some of them are my friends now, and I love it.
Well, I think I posted something the other day on Instagram that said, your clients are your community. Don't forget that, that if you are doing things that they love, they'll keep coming back to you. And, and like you said, you're maybe requesting personalized, different boxes and things like that. So it's lovely. And I just think that you have so many stories to give that we don't have so much time to give to them, but you are very, very gracious in saying that you will stick with us for Extra Bite. So thank you so much for joining us on Sweet Bites with Sandra. And we're going to head over to Extra Bite. Make sure you do, if you're listening to this, stick around for the rest of the episode. But then after it's over, head to Extra Bite for the rest of this interview. Thank you so much, Sandra.
Thank you.